Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to the Govinda class. As like every Thursday, we are having presentation. This Thursday also, we're going to have another presentation by Mukund. So Mukund is our Govinda kid. Not only just he joins Govinda class, he joins adult classes. He joins all the classes that Bhakti Sangha conducts. And his sister too. They are very, very sweet kids. You would see them every day on the call. Even even a single day, I don't see that Mukund is missing the class, and he's in, very much into the class, and he's not just joining the class, he's learning so many things, very attentively hearing the class, and he's very sincere kid. What else he does 16 rounds. It's so amazing. Mukund is already into 16 rounds, and he also does 1 to 2 aratis every day. He's interested in playing mridanga. That we already see that, right? Whenever teacher is little late, Mukund always engages everyone in Sankirtan by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra by playing mridanga, right? And also he reads Prabhupada books and he loves to attend Govinda class. Yes, we know that Mukund loved to attend Govinda class. Mukund loved to attend all the Bhakti Sangha classes. Thank you so much, Mukund, for your sweet association. I remember your past presentations. They were so sweet and a lot of information in it. I am eagerly waiting to hear from you. Please take over the call. Bol.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So, Hare Krishna.
And today's topic is Ramayana. I forgot to say on what topic he's speaking. He's speaking on Ramayana. Okay, Mukund, please go ahead.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, everyone. So today I'll be giving a presentation on Ramayana, a summary of Lord Ram's journey. So first I'll offer my prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Saraswati Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So let's get started with the presentation. First, we will see on how Lord Ram was born. Lord Ram was born from Dashrath Maharaj and his 3 wives. And the 3 wives' names were Kaushalya, Kaikeyi, and Sumitra. So, Lord Ram wasn't born normally like any kid. He was actually born in a very special way. Dashrath Maharaj, he only had one daughter before Lord Ram's birth. And according to the rules of those times, a daughter cannot rule the kingdom. So hence he had to do a fire sacrifice in order to get a child who was a son and who could also rule the kingdom. That's why Dashrath Maharaj did a fire sacrifice. And from that he got 1 bowl of payasam. That payasam, he gave half the bowl to Kaushalya Mata and he gave half the bowl to Kaikeyi Mata. Then Kaushalya Mata shared half of what she got to Sumitra and Kaikeyi shared half of what she had to Sumitra too. That's why Sumitra got 2 sons. So in total they got 4 sons from 1 bowl of payasam. After that, when the children were born, then their naming ceremony happened. And their naming ceremony was very auspicious. The eldest child was having a green complexion and he was named Ram. Then the second child was named Bharat, and the third child was Lakshman, and fourth was named Shatrughna. Now, here we can see that the three mothers and Dashrath Maharaj are taking care of their children very nicely. And Dashrath Maharaj used to love all his sons very much. And in this way, all the brothers were grown up very nicely. Lakshman was specially attached to Lord Ram, and Shatrughna was very specially attached to Bharat. And also, all these four siblings, they never fought against each other. After that, when Lord Ram grew up a little more, then he went to Gurukul. And in Gurukul, he learned things like the Vedas and also fighting. And his guru was Vashishta Muni. Vashishta Muni knew that Lord Ram is the supreme personality of Godhead, but still he taught Lord Ram because he knew that that was what he is supposed to do. In this way, Lord Ram grew up. After that, when he was at the age of 16, around 16, then Vishwamitra Muni had come to Dashrath Maharaj to ask for Lord Ram and Lakshman to come to kill demons while they are going to do fire sacrifices in the forest. And Dashrath Maharaj said no for it. But then Vishwamitra Muni was starting to get very angry, so Dashrath Maharaj finally said yes. Then when Lord Ram and Lakshman went to the forest with Vishwamitra Muni, they started killing all the bad demons there so that the sages could easily perform their sacrifices without being hesitant. Lord Ram and Lakshman were guarding very nicely, and the sages were performing their sacrifices very nicely. After that, Lord Ram killed the demon Tadaka. Tadaka was also another very great demon. This demon was very, very, very destructive, and she used to destroy everything she used to see. And her size was also very big, as seen in this picture here, and she was a very, very bad woman. But even though being a woman, Lord Ram still killed her because she was a demon, and he killed him with ease. After that, they went to the forest and they were roaming around a little more until they saw Ahalya in the stone form. Ahalya was actually Gautam Rishi's wife, and she one time got cursed by Gautam Rishi to turn into the form of a stone because she was having association with Indra. And then she was also given the benediction that she would get freed by Lord Ram, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Then, after the deliverance of Ahalya, Vishwamitra Muni took Lord Ram with him to the Swayamvar to Mithila. In that, there was a challenge that all the kings had to pass in order to marry Sita. That was to lift up the great sacrificial bow and to tie the strings from one end to another. While doing that, many kings had failed, and don't think about even tying the ropes to the different sides of the bow. They couldn't even lift it 1 inch in the air. But then, in the end, Dashrath Maharaj got very sad that no one was able to lift the bow, and he told, why is no one able to lift the bow? After that, Lord Ram came and said, I can lift this bow. And he did. And he even tied the strings. When he was trying to tie the strings, the bow couldn't stand Lord Ram's power. That's why it broke in half. And immediately, Parashuramji got very angry. and he appeared over there because he was the one who had given that great bow to Janak Maharaj. That's why he got very angry. After some arguments, Parashuram got satisfied, and he also stopped being angry because Lord Ram had cooled him down. After that, the marriage of Lord Ram and Mother Sita happened. After that, the Ayodhyakanda happened. Now, the Ayodhyakanda is the exiling of Lord Ram. When Lord Ram came back to Ayodhya, then Bharat and Shatrughna were out to see their maternal uncle. While that was going on, Dashrath Maharaj, he was talking to his ministers whether to make Lord Ram the king of Ayodhya or not, because Dashrath Maharaj was getting very old. That's why he was talking about making Lord Ram the king, while Manthara was giving doses of evilness to Kaikeyi. Manthara was saying that if Ram becomes the king, then you will be the servant of Kausalya, and he would make you from a queen to a servant. And Kaikeyi did not like those words. Then she asked Manthara what to do. She came in the influence of Manthara that Ram is a very bad person. Then she asked to Manthara that, then what else can I do? Then Manthara said to Kaikeyi that she can ask the 2 boons that she had gotten. So there's one story of the 2 boons that Kaikeyi had gotten. That story is that one time, long time ago, what happened was that Dashrath Maharaj was in a very big battle. When he was in that battle, he got injured very badly and he fainted. And easily the enemy could have killed Dashrath Maharaj. But Kaikeyi, she was the chariot driver of Dashrath Maharaj. And it's the chariot driver's job to keep the Rathi on the Rath who is fighting to be safe. So that's why Kaikeyi took Dashrath Maharaj to be in a safe place so that he would not be attacked by enemies and get killed. When Dashrath Maharaj woke up, he saw that Kaikeyi had protected him. So he gave 2 boons to Kaikeyi. But Kaikeyi at that time she said that she will ask them later. But then she never asked it. And she also forgot about it. After that, after a long time, now Manthara told Kaikeyi to use those 2 boons and ask for things. Then Kaikeyi said, what shall I ask? Manthara said, the first boon will be that Rama will go to exile for 14 years in the forest like a sage. Now sages stay in the forest very differently. They do not go to the forest and just keep having feasts on whatever vegetables they see on and all like that. They have rules. There are many different rules. That's why she also mentioned like a sage. Then the second boon would be that Bharat will be the king of Ayodhya. Now what happened was Kaikeyi got very much influenced by Manthara's evil words. So hence she got the plan. She started acting to be very sad and she went to the anger room. Now this anger room is like this room where you go when you are very angry or sad. Okay, and everyone in the royal palace, it is not a good sign that they're going in there because it tells that they are angry or sad. That's why she went over there because she wanted to act that she is sad and she wants something from Dashrath Maharaj. She went over there and wore dress like a servant and she removed all her beautiful jewelry. After that, Dashrath Maharaj had come to Kaikeyi's room and he didn't see Kaikeyi. So he asked Manthara, who was there, that she asked Manthara that where is Keke? Then Manthara told that Keke is in the anger room. Dashrath Maharaj got shocked upon hearing that her wife was in the anger room. He immediately rushed to the anger room and saw there that Keke was lying down on the ground sobbing. He said, "Dear Keke, what has come upon you that you are not happy? I am ready to give my life for you. Just say, what do you want?" Keke asked for the 2 boons. She first said, "Remember, you had given me 2 boons when I saved your life in the battle? I want those 2 boons." Then she asked the 2 boons. She said, "My first boon is that Ram will go to the forest for exile for 14 years. And then my second boon is that Bharat will be the king of Ayodhya." Immediately, Dashrath Maharaj got shocked. After that, because all the Suryavanshis, so Dashrath Maharaj was a Suryavanshi, they had this promise that was that Pran Jai lekin Vachan na Jai, which means, that is Hindi, so that means that their promise shouldn't go, but their life can go. So they value their promises that they give higher than their life. That's why Dashrath Maharaj had to let go Ravan, he had to let go Ram to the forest. And when he had to let go Ram to the forest, then he was very, very, very sad. And he didn't at all want to let Ram go to the forest. And then, while he was being very sad and Lord Ram was getting ready to go in the forest, then Lakshman also came and said that he will come also to the forest to serve them. Then Lord Ram, after some talking with Lakshman, he agreed, and then after that, even Sita Mata said that she would come. But then Lord Ram did not say yes for that. But then somehow or the other, Sita Mata got Lord Ram to let her and Lakshman to go to the forest. After that, when they were in the forest, they were going, then the whole entire Ayodhya was coming behind them. And they did not want that to happen, because all the Ayodhya Vasis, they would also get many thorns getting stuck into their legs, and it's pretty hard to live like a sage's life. That's why he did not want that to happen. So what he did was, in the middle of the night, when they were taking rest right outside the boundaries of Ayodhya, then he, with Sita Mata and Lakshman, straight left out. They left out without the Ayodhya Vasis, and when the Ayodhya Vasis woke up in the morning, then they saw that Lord Ram isn't there. So their only choice was to go back. After that, Lord Ram met King Guha. King Guha was a great servant and a friend of Lord Ram. When Lord Ram, Sita Mata and Lakshman were going into a specific forest, they had to pass a river. And while trying to see how to pass that river, they found King Guha. And they first got greeted by him very nicely, which, as you can see in this picture, King Guha is greeting Lord Ram and Sita Mata by washing their feet. And then King Guha took Lord Ram, Lakshman and Sita Devi across the Ganga river, which they had to pass to go to the forest they wanted to. After that, when Bharat and Shatrugna came back to Ayodhya, they saw that Lord Ram isn't there. So they immediately asked, and they got to know that Lord Ram had been sent into exile for 14 years. When that happened, then they got very angry on who did it, and they got to know that Keke Mata, Bharat's own mother, had done it. So they immediately went to the forest. Bharat Maharaj, he was pleading in front of Lord Ram to come back to Ayodhya without staying in the forest for 14 years. But Lord Ram had to do it because they had the promise, Pran Jai Lakin Vachan Na Jai. That's why he had to come. When Bharat Maharaj just gave up, actually he did not give up, but then Lord Ram just said that he cannot come at all. And Bharat Maharaj said, at least can you give me one thing? And Lord Ram said yes. Bharat Maharaj asked for the sandals. You can see in this picture that he has asked for the sandals so that he could take it back to Ayodhya with him. When he went back to Ayodhya, then he put those sandals on the throne and made Lord Ram the king. Even though he was actually ruling, like he was doing the tasks, like for example, the taxes and things, like all what the king has to do, he was doing, but he was doing it by staying like a sage outside Ayodhya. Because there has to be a king at once. Then Lord Ram in the forest met Atri Rishi. Lord Ram met the great sage Atri Rishi, and he got blessings and knowledge from Atri Rishi. Atri Rishi was very, very great, and he had lots of knowledge. And he had a very nice time with Atri Rishi since he was a very great saint and he had lots of purity around him. After that, Surpanakha saw Lord Ram and Lakshman, and she got very, very attached to them, and she wanted to marry Lord Ram. When she went to Lord Ram in a beautiful form to ask him whether she could marry him, Lord Ram said no, because he had taken a promise that he will only marry one person in his whole life, and that was already Sita Mata. Then after that, Lakshman, who was being like a servant to Lord Ram, she went and asked Lakshman whether she could marry him. Lakshman also said no, only if she wanted to be the servant of someone. Because Lakshman was acting as a servant of Lord Ram and he would be the servant of Lord Ram, then Surpanakha, she would also have to be the servant, and she did not like that. Then she saw that the root cause of Lord Ram not marrying her was Sita. That's why she took her nails, and demons have very long nails because they always do bad stuff, and in bad stuff it also counts on having long dangerous nails. So they had long dangerous nails which they could literally kill anyone by. It was so sharp and so dangerous. So she was going to kill Sita Mata, but then Lakshman came and he took a blade of grass and cut Surpanakha's nose. Over here it shows a knife, but it was actually a blade of grass. So moving on, then Surpanakha went to Ravan, who was her brother. When Ravan got to know about what had happened, Ravan got very, very angry and he made a plan. The plan was that Marichi, he would become a very beautiful golden deer and go in front of Sita. And when he would go in front of Sita, Sita Mata would get very attracted to him and ask Lord Ram to go and get that deer. So Lord Ram would go and get that deer, and Sita Mata would only have Lakshman to protect him. After that, Marichi, when he is almost going to die by Lord Ram, he will be very far away from that area where Lord Ram had started to come to get him. When he got shot by an arrow, then he will shout, Lakshman, Sita, so that Lakshman feels that Lord Ram needs help. That too he will shout in Lord Ram's voice only, so that they get more confidence that yes, our Lord is in need of help. After that, Rama would be disguised as a hungry Brahmana Now a normal person cannot disguise as a different person because it is like impossible. Obviously, we can't change our clothes, but not in the way these demons like Raman could do. Raman could do it in an instant because he had Mayavi powers, and he wasn't using Maya in the good way. So he would take the form of a hungry Brahmana, and he will kidnap Sita Mata. So that was the plan. Then he approached Marichi and said the plan. After saying the plan, he said to Marichi that, so would you want to die from the hands of Ram, who you know the greatness of, because he had thrown you very far, or would you die from my hands? Marichi, he was now a good person. Before he was a very bad demon, and he had went to fight with Lord Ram, and he got thrown into the ocean very far away. So he knew the great powers of Lord Ram. That's why he picked Lord Ram and went according to the plan. After that, the Marichi, in the form of the golden deer, he came up in front of Sita Mata. And as you can see here, Sita Mata, she got very attracted to it because it was a golden deer. You can never see a golden deer. Deer are always brown and maybe like a little different variations of brown. But you
And
cannot ever
sometimes
see.
white.
But you can never see golden deers. That's why Sita Mata got very attracted, and she told her husband, "My dear husband, can you please bring that deer for me?" Lord Ram immediately agreed because he wanted to fulfill the desire of his wife. Then he went and followed the deer for a very long distance. After following it for a very long distance, he finally killed the deer. And then the deer turned itself back into Marichi's form and started shouting in Lord Ram's voice, "Lakshman, Sita, Lakshman, Sita." And after hearing this, Lakshman, because he thought that Lord Ram was in trouble, he came out to protect Lord Ram. But he did make a line around Sita Mata. So here you can see that Sita Mata, she has a line down here. She has a line down here. That is the Lakshman Rekha. It's called the Lakshman Rekha. He created it by his arrow, and it was this protective layer which no one could pass. So he told Sita Mata not to pass that. After that, after he told Sita Mata not to pass that, he went to help Lord Ram. And then Ravan took his action. He turned himself into a hungry Brahmana and went and asked, "Bhiksham Dehi, Bhiksham Dehi." And he asked to Sita Mata for food. And Sita Mata immediately brought some food for the Brahman, and she said, "Please come into my house. I'll serve it to you." But then Ravan said, "No, I want it over here," because he knew what the power of that line was. That's why he said Sita Mata to come out. Otherwise, Ravan, he would burn to death. When Sita Mata was saying, "No, I cannot come out of my house," then finally the Brahman said that, "Okay, fine. Then do you want a Brahman to leave your house without getting any food or without getting anything?" Then Sita Mata got very embarrassed about that, and he started to leave. Then she said, "No, no, no, I'll come and give it to you." When she said that, then the Brahman came back and he waited over there. Sita Mata brought it, and as soon as she was going to give the food, the Brahman turned himself back to Raman and took hold of Sita Mata's hand very hardly and pulled her into his Pushpak Viman. After that, Jatayu, who was a very old bird and devotee of Lord Ram, he saw that Sita Mata, who is the wife of Lord Ram, was in trouble. And once he saw that, He knew that his dharma was to protect Sita Mata. Even though he knew that he was a very old bird and he obviously wouldn't be able to survive the attack from Ravan, he still did, because it would be better to die in the service of Lord Ram than just to try to be like a coward and just keep watching. That's why he tried to fight with Ravan, but Ravan first first cut his feathers off and injured him very badly. Then Jatayu, because he was a bird and birds need wings to fly, and if he didn't have wings only, then he would fall down. So he fell down onto the ground very, very hardly, and he was almost near to death. After that, Lord Ram searched with Lakshman for Mother Sita for a very long time. Then they found Jatayu and they asked him, "Where is Sita Mata?" Then he said that Sita Mata is being kidnapped by Ravan. And then he died. So then Lord Ram performed the final rites of Jatayu. After that, when they were still finding Sita Mata, then what happened was they saw this demon who was a headless torso, which means it was like a stomach, eyes, nose, mouth, and hands. That's it. And it was only there to eat food. So what happened was that this demon got hold of Ram and Lakshman, but then Ram and Lakshman, they both killed this demon and did the final rites of this demon. And when that happened, when they did the final rites of this demon, then this demon turned into a devata with a four-handed form. And then he offered his obeisances to Lord Ram as saying thank you, so that because Lord Ram had freed him from his curse. So he was actually there because of a curse. In that way, that demon got delivered. Then after that, Lord Ram met with Sabri Mata and Hanuman. Sabri Mata was a very old lady who had been told by her guru that Lord Ram, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will surely come to you one day. And she was very happy about that because she heard that the Supreme Personality of Godhead will come to her home one day. So each day she would lay out a very long big bed of flowers on the floor. And in the end of the day, she would remove those flowers if Lord Ram didn't come. One day, Lord Ram came when Sabri Mata was very old, and then he met her, and Sabri Mata fed her eaten food to Lord Ram, or also in Hindi called jutha, which means that you have eaten it and it has touched your mouth and your saliva, then that is your jutha. That is your unpurified. It's not pure, that food. Then, because it was jutha, Lord Ram still did not hesitate to eat, because it was his great devotee giving the food, that to jutha, just to taste it whether it was sweet or not. Then he really accepted it with lots of love. And Sabri Mata was also giving it to Lord Ram in lots and lots of love. After that, Lord Ram and Lakshman continued their trip. Then they found Hanumanji and Sugriva, and they found them on a mountain. And Hanumanji, he immediately got up and saw that this was the Supreme Lord. That's why he immediately started serving Lord Ram. And Sugriv, he also did the same. And they also promised Lord Ram that they would help them retrieve Sita Mata back. Then Lord Ram hears the story of Sugriva. And the story of Sugriva is very sad, since he got kicked out of his kingdom, even though Vali wasn't a good king, but he got kicked out of his kingdom from his brother Vali. and Valis took the rule of it. But then they were staying on this mountain and being the king on that mountain because they knew that they were safe here and they would be safe from the powerful forces of Vali, who could easily kill them very easily. And they knew that they would be safe on this mountain because even though Vali knew that Sugriva and his friends were living on this mountain, he had a curse that if he would come on that mountain, he would die. That's why Lord Ram heard the sad story of Sugriva. After that, the fight between Bali and Sugriva happened. And obviously, Sugriva, he wasn't anything compared in power to Bali, so he was losing. But Lord Ram, he instantly killed Bali by shooting an arrow. Here you can see that thing happened. While Sugriva was fighting with Bali, then Lord Ram shot an arrow from back there, behind the trees. After this, what happened was, after the 4 rainy seasons, then everyone started to go and look in the 4 directions for Mother Sita. And then Hanuman had to also do the same thing. So they had reached a coastline and they got to know that this ocean was very, very big and very large. Then Hanuman had to do the work since he was very powerful. He jumped by saying Jai Shri Ram the whole entire time, and he was able to cross the whole entire ocean. And while crossing the ocean, he met this demon who was actually a test sent by the demigods. So this demon, he was like this testing thing. So when Hanumanji he got heard from the demon that the demon said that I want you to come into my mouth. Then Hanumanji he grew very very small and went into that demon's mouth and instantly came back out. Then the demon got very impressed by Hanumanji's intelligence. That's why it gave it blessings, turned back into its demigod form, and went back. After that, Hanuman entered Lanka and he first went to Vibhishan. He was looking around and he first went to Vibhishan and then Vibhishan told him where Sita Mata was. So then once Hanuman got to know where Sita Mata is, then he went to Pushpavatika where Sita Mata was and he told her the message of Lord Ram to Sita Mata. Sita Mata didn't believe that this was a messenger sent by Lord Ram, so she asked for proof. And then Hanuman gave Lord Ram's ring so that Sita Mata could know that yes, this is actually a servant of Lord Ram. After that, Hanuman burnt the whole Lanka. But before that happened, he was very hungry and he started eating fruits from the garden of Pushpavatika. Then Indrajit got to know that by his servants, so he went and got Hanumanji. That too, Hanumanji was so powerful that he could even escape from the Brahmastra. But and also obviously the other astras. And the Brahmastra, it's the highest of all astras. So Indrajit first tried to shoot all of the astras, like many different astras which were very powerful. No one could survive them. But Hanumanji still got no effect on them. Then when he shot Brahmastra, in respect of Brahmaji, the Brahmastra didn't do. He tied a rope around his body and considered him to be caught by Indrajit. Then this is actually the greatness of a devotee. This is not a bad quality of a devotee. This is actually the greatness of a devotee that it will not disrespect elders. After that, he went to the court and Ravan said that this Vana should get the punishment that his tail will be put on fire because he knew that monkeys over here, another name for them is Vanar. Monkeys, their favorite part of the body is their tail. That's why he set Hanumanji's tail on fire. And how did Hanuman use it? He set the whole entire Lanka on fire. Now this is one thing. Now one thing we can learn from here, from Hanumanji, and what he did by setting the whole entire Lanka on fire, is that there's one shloka in Bhagavad Gita which is Krodhat bhavati sammoha sammoha smriti vibrama smriti vramshat buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. So this shloka tells that once you get angry, then then you get into illusion, and when you get into that illusion, then your intelligence doesn't work properly, and then your intelligence is destroyed. After that, you fall into a lower position. So that's what the shloka tells. So that's why you shouldn't have anger at all. But anger is something that you can have without having the same thing that you will fall back down. You can use it in Krishna's service. Over here you can see that Hanumanji, he used his anger, which was that his tail got burnt on fire, by burning the whole Lanka. So you can see this is a very, very good example by Hanuman on how to use anger. So another thing was that Hanumanji didn't burn the whole Lanka actually. He left Vibhishanji's house because he was the only devotee in Lanka and the Pushpa Vatika where Sita Mata was staying. After that, Lord Ram became angry at the ocean. So before that, Hanumanji went back and told Ram that Sita Mata is in the other side of this ocean in Lanka in the Pushpa Vatika. Immediately, Lord Ram got up with his whole Vanar Sena. He went to the ocean coastline and 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 he started doing like a tapasya or a meditation on Varun Dev. Varun Dev is the lord of water or oceans. So what happened was that for many days he did tapasya, but still Varun Dev wasn't letting Lord Ram pass through the ocean. Because Lord Ram, he knew that these Vanaras, they did not have enough power to just fly over the ocean, how he could do and how Hanuman could do. So there had to be some way to just walk from the ocean. But oceans are very deep, so the Vanaras would sink. That's why he was very careful about them. That's why after doing tapasya for about 5 days, I guess, he got very angry at the ocean and he was going to evaporate the whole ocean when Varun Dev came and said, "My dear Lord, please do not evaporate the ocean. I surely cannot remove my water from the way, but I can support a bridge that you can make on me. You can make it out of stones." Then Lord Ram liked the idea, and in a few days, the Vanaras built a whole bridge of stones which had the word Ram written, the two syllables Ra and Ma written on it. Ram. You can see here it says Ra Ma. So it had those two syllables, and they made this very giant bridge going into Lanka. When they reached Lanka, then while they were going, then Vibhishana, who was a great devotee of Lord Ram, he counseled Ravana. He told Ravan that whatever he was doing isn't a good thing. And Ravan also knew that from inside, but he still did not like what Vibhishan was saying. So hence, eventually getting angry at what Vibhishan had said, because Vibhishan was repeating it many times, again and again. So he like threw Vibhishan out of Lanka. So Vibhishan just joined Lord Ram. After that, the war had started, and many warriors were dying in that war. So Kumbhakarna had to wake up. Kumbhakarna was a brother of Raman, and you won't believe this. He used to sleep for 6 months straight. Here we sleep for maximum 8 hours, and he is sleeping for 6 months. And he was also really, really big and he used to eat a lot. And his snoring was the exact same amount loud. So he had to be woken up to fight because he was very strong too, and very heavy and big. So he could just stamp on the army and all the army would die. That's why he was woken up with loud drums, lots of smells of food, because he really liked food. And after that, he got killed by Lord Ram in the battle. Then Lakshman and Lord Ram get injured in the battle. So now there is one thing which is a retreat in a war. There are two things, and these are very different. One is that you can retreat, and the other thing is that you can lose the war. Now retreat and lose is different. Retreat meaning that you're going a little back and you're taking a break for a while because you're being overpowered by the enemy. And that does not mean that you're losing, okay? But that does mean that you are just taking a break for a while. And you are going back and you're not going to fight for a little while. And then losing in the war means that either the main person, for example, in this army, it was Lord Ram and Lakshman. If they would die, then Ravan would win, which means that Lord Ram would lose. Or if they would get defeated, which means that they would accept defeat, they would also lose. So there's a difference between lose and retreat. So Lord Ram and Lakshman retreated over here, and they got caught by this astra sent by Indrajit, which was like a Naga astra. And there were many snakes that went upon them, and they both fainted, and they were in a very serious condition. But because Garuda was the carrier of Lord Vishnu, he immediately came to help, and he is the king of birds. So he ate up all the snakes and freed them from that astra. After that, Lakshman gets injured now. Then Hanumanji, he brings the Gandhamadan mountain, which had the Sanjeevani herb, which would cure Lakshman's problem. When Lakshman again he got back to normal again, then they had already taken 2 retreats, but they fought again. Then Indrajit, he got killed by Lakshman in the war next day. And then Lord Ram started fighting with Ravan when Ravan came out, because Ravan saw that no one else in their side was now alive to fight, so he had to come out. Then Lord Ram started fighting with Ravan. After that, Lord Ram kills Ravan and Ravan dies. First he cuts the 10 heads out. He cuts the 10 heads of Ravan. Then in one shot, he kills Ravan, and Ravan was dead. After that, when the war is done, Mother Sita enters a fire. Now, why was this? So there were 2 reasons. Because Sita Mata, she had to show her purity to everyone, that she was still pure after being with Ravan for almost 1 year. Then, now the second reason is like a whole story. I'll just say it in short, is to get back her real form. So what happened was that before they went to the exile, Sita Mata had also entered the fire, and she left her real form with Agni Dev in the protection of Agni Dev, and she took the form of Chaya Sita, which was like a shadow of Sita Mata, but it looked the same as Sita Mata, because Ravan wasn't qualified enough and he wasn't pure enough to touch real Sita Mata. That's why he only had touched Chaya Sita, which wasn't even real Sita Mata. So she had to get her real form. Then after that, finally, Lord Ram returns back to Ayodhya in his Pushpak Viman. So, because you remember I told that Ravan was taking Sita Mata in the Pushpak Viman because Pushpak Viman was something that Lanka had. That was like their opulence. And Ravan used the Pushpak Viman. So now, Lord Ram with Sita Mata, Lakshman, and Hanuman, he came back in Pushpak Viman to Ayodhya and he became the king again. Now there's more story after this, but for now we'll end. So now, does anyone have any questions or anything? If anyone has questions, comments, corrections, or anything to share, they can say. Hare Krishna. Yes, Shriyan, you can go ahead.
I really like the presentation and the way you explained it. So you said that so you said that Ram. So I heard that Ram, he didn't kill him like he didn't kill him, but like Hanuman got the arrow from Lanka. There was a special arrow that would kill Ravan. Only that arrow could kill. So he got that arrow from Lanka, and then he gave it to Ram, and then Ram killed. And then there's a whole story of how Hanuman got it. He comes as a there's a huge story.
Wait, there's different versions of how Ravan got killed, and one of the versions is that one. So,
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Shriyan. Hare Krishna.
that was a very nice presentation, Mukund.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Ansh, you can go ahead.
So when you were talking about Ram and Sita's marriages, you said instead of saying that Janak said was very sad that nobody could lift the bow, you said that Dashrath was very sad that nobody could lift the bow.
Oh yeah, thank you for pointing that out. So that was just a mistake. So thank you. Hare Krishna. So Raghav, you can go ahead now.
I wanted to compliment you because you 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 had a very nice presentation, and I liked the details and steps you added to the presentation, and you step by step added all of these points, and it was really good. And I also learned more facts from what you gave in your presentation. It was very nice. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you for the compliment, Raghav. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Ratnavali Mataji, you can go ahead.
How did Hanuman get the big tail?
Can you say that again, please?
How did Hanuman get the big tail?
I didn't understand the question. Can you say it again, please?
Get the big tail? How did Hanuman get the big tail?
Oh, Hanuman, he was a Vanar, which means a monkey. So he was in the form of monkey. And monkeys, they have tails, right? So that's why he had a tail. And Ravan, he put that tail on fire. Does that answer your question?
How does fire help the tail?
So fire did not help the tail. Hanuman, he just used that fire in the service of Lord Ram by setting the whole Lanka on fire. It did not help the tail, but it did not harm the tail also because he had Lord Ram's mercy, so it didn't harm the tail. But I had said that Lord Ram had used that fire in the service of Lord Ram. It hadn't helped the tail. Okay, Samskriti, you can go ahead next.
Hi, Krishna Mukund. I really liked your presentation, and some of the things you talked about, I didn't really know about them, and it was very useful to me.
Thank you, Samskriti. Hare Krishna. God bless this Prabhupada. Yes, Balaram, you can go ahead now.
Mukund, I really liked your presentation and everything you gave about Lord Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Balaram. Hare Krishna. God bless this Prabhupada.
Did Ramachandra spoke? Ramachandra spoke.
Oh,
No.
I didn't know I thought my hand was raised, Mataji. I didn't know. Can I speak, Mataji?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, Ramachandra.
Okay, Hare Krishna Mukund. I really liked your presentation. You gave so many details about Lord Ramachandra's story. And there were so many details. I just felt like it was story class with like so many stories.
Thank you, Ramachandra. Hare Krishna. God bless this Prabhupada. Yes, Sudev, you can go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mukund, I loved your presentation very much, and I loved the way you prepared the whole presentation, and all the slides are beautiful, and I love the pictures, and your background is also looking very beautiful.
Thank you, Sudevi. Hare Krishna. God bless this Prabhupada. Yes, Ojasvi, you can go ahead next.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so Hare Krishna Mukund, I really liked all the stories, and I especially liked the story of Jatayu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Ojasvi. Hare Krishna. God bless this Prabhupada. Yes, Triti, you can go next.
Hare Krishna Mukund, I like your presentation. Hare Krishna Mukund.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. God bless this Prabhupada. Yes, Isha, you can go ahead next.
Hare Krishna Mukund, I really like your presentation, and I like the stories that you put in there.
Thank you, Isha. Hare Krishna. God bless this Prabhupada. Yes, Kavya, you can go ahead next.
I like your presentation, Mukund. It was really nice.
Thank you for the compliment, Kavya. Hare Krishna. God bless this Prabhupada. Yes, Ansha, I had seen that you had raised your hand before. You can go ahead.
I would like that ride.
What, Ansh?
I said never mind.
Oh, okay. Hare Krishna. God
Okay,
bless this
Mukund, Hare Krishna. What a beautiful presentation, Mukund. It was like hearing whole Ramayana. It was not even, I mean, like, it's not like an kids class or kids presentation. It's wholesome like a adults class. Very beautiful slides and pictures, very detailed in each pastime. You went through whole Ramayana pastimes. I mean, it was so nice to hear each and every story in detail. And I could see that you have like just, all as the Ramayana completely understood very clearly, because you're not just reading it, you know the stories very clearly. There is so many sequence of the story, right? It's not just one story. There's lot of information in Rama, and you have went through so detailed. I really like presentation very, 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 very much. And another wants to speak.
Hare Krishna Mukund. I really like your presentation so much. Mommy, you're not able to see me.
Yeah.
Okay. Hare Krishna Mukund, I really like your presentation. I like all the Ramayana story. And then I like the Tataka story.
Tataka story.
And then I like the deep, like the story where Hanuman goes and going and now. I really like that story. Thank you.
Thank you, Balvrinda. God bless this Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Yes, Jagannath, you can go ahead.
It's not Jagannath, it's me.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mukund. Yeah, very, very beautiful class. As Vinita Gandharvika Mataji rightly said, it didn't feel like a kid is giving class. Very mature talk, and every detail is covered so nicely. And it's not just reading, you just said it. So Very beautiful, as always. Very enthusiastic, very beautiful. Thank you for coming up with such a nice presentation and keep inspiring all the other kids. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
And Mukund, how old are you?
Yeah, he's 11.
I'm 11 years, Mataji.
I know it.
Yeah, you are 11-year-old.
I know that.
Very nice. 11-year-old could say this such a beautiful presentation. I'm so amazed by your performance today. It is so beautiful, so beautifully presented. Thank you so much, Mukund. And we are across the time already. It is 7:20. So we will not have any moral story for today. And so thank you so much, Mukund, for such a beautiful presentation again. We like to, yes.
Mataji, it's all the mercy of Lord Ram. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
of course. And your devotion. Without devotion, we don't get mercy, right?
Yeah, this is
What do you say?
I know something that I made on Ram Navami.
What is that? Show me. Who is that? Since they want to show something. Oh,
An arrow. I made it on Ram Navami.
oh, let's see.
Wow, Vansh, that looks really nice.
Let me see. I can't see.
Show me now. Okay, how did you make that?
Looks really nice, Ansh.
Made out of cardboard.
Cardboard. Very beautiful. Very beautiful.
It's very creative. It's I think you have
And
to
the
do a lot of
coloring is made of tape.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Looks
Okay.
really nice, Ansh.
Good job, Ansh. Okay. So now let's close the call for today. Tomorrow again we will meet for Friday class, of course. Open for all kids. Good to see you all. I know everybody is having long weekend.
Yeah, because tomorrow we don't have school.
Okay. Let's
Tomorrow we don't have any school.
Vancha kalpatarubhyasya jai. Namakarashila Haridas Thakur ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Closing the call.